All right, for rocking with us. So yeah, I wanted to get into the Pro Bowl, 2024 Pro Bowl, the NFC, AFC games, as well as the skill games. So, you know, it's not going to be a gripe because I did kind of enjoy it. It was fun at times. But I do want to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons as far as, from the experience itself. I did put up the poll on YouTube so you guys can vote on it if you're live. Obviously, if you're not live, make sure that you just drop it in the comments whether or not you enjoyed it, and then we'll go back and forth from there. But with that said, so I'll start off with my cons. I think my cons is we know that they switched over to flag football, right? And totally get it. I understand why. It's more of a fun experience. It's more of a safe experience. But I do think that it has taken away just a little bit from the competitiveness of the game. Not to say that they were super competitive even when they were in full gear, because it's still a fun event. It's the Pro Bowl. But I do feel like, they went out there, they actually played, strong, and they actually put on a show. Typical to what you would see in like an exhibition, boxing match. Um, some of those guys, they know they're not going for the ring, for the for the belt, obviously. So they'd still go out there and box and put on a show. And I just don't feel like we're really getting that from the flag football. It's cool to see the stars go out there, have a good time. You see some good plays, but there's not really any defense. Everything just looks a little weird. And I guess it's just something to do on a Sunday. I guess my second biggest con would be, seeing Eli and Peyton as far as coaches again. Nothing against the guys. I just think that we should mix it up. We had them last year for the Pro Bowl. Let's bring in some other guys as far as, being able to coach the AFC and the NFC teams. So, I think those are my two biggest gripes. I think, not being a true contact thing and, really, I guess, bringing in some different coaches, some different scenery. On the flip side, what I did like the skill games. The skill games were definitely fun. NFC completely roasted AFC. Some of those guys, you're definitely seeing a lot of the difference of, you know, strength tests and, different skills and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so some of these dudes in AFC really, really showing up. So yeah, it was fun for the most part. And NFC did end up winning, even though the AFC looked really, really good in the actual game. But yeah, you know, Pro Bowl is just really not the same to me. It's really not. Is it something to watch on a Sunday? Sure, until we get to the Super Bowl. But it's kind of like, all right, it's just the Pro Bowl. Shout out to Rick says Tua threw more touchdowns in February than Allen did. Oh, I would think so, right? Especially if he went to the Pro Bowl. Uh, Nosy Rosie says, "I wish I was there. I can't believe it's CJ Stroud's competitor." Yeah, I mean there was some good highlights as far as within the game. There was a couple of great throws that CJ Stroud made, and especially that one to Chase, right? That all backpedaled off the run throw. And yeah, like I said, there was a few good ones, and for the most part, it was like a fun experience. Was it as competitive as you would like to see on a Sunday? Probably not, but it's just guys having fun, throwing the football around, making a couple quick plays, and then move on to the skill test. I think the skill test was probably a little bit more competitive for me, at least, right? Because you really got to see, these guys put out, all their energy, all their heart into it to actually win. And, you know, it's just one of those things. It's one of those things when you look over the years as far as how the Pro Bowls were played and who showed up and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely changed for sure. That is for sure. Pork Chop, what up, man? What's going on with you? Forrest Green in the house. Lex in the building. I think Jamar Chase is getting traded. I kind of caught that comment that he made in regards to CJ. He's like, "Oh, I know you want to come play with us," and I was just like, "Oh, it's kind of interesting to hear from Jamar Chase." I get they're out there having fun and just throwing some things around, but if you really believe in your quarterback, I don't think you'd be saying that to another quarterback. I'm just saying. I'm just saying I'm stirring the pot a little bit, just a little bit. But it was kind of weird to hear him say that to CJ Stroud as far as him coming over and joining with the Bengals. Really interesting. Really interesting. If we do see Jamar Chase end up with the Texans, that could be something. Could be something. Nolan, what up, man? What's going on with you? Me and Forrest had to be here. We done brought the hot dogs and the jelly. Not the hot dogs and the jelly, yo. Are you gonna be streaming after the sub? Super Bowl? Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, we'll be getting back into the NBA, heavily focusing on college basketball because we're getting into March Madness. You guys know we do March Madness we've been doing it for the last 4 years. We have a good lot of good fun with March Madness, and then we transition over to basketball, some baseball. Baseball's coming up, and that's going to be the stream schedule moving forward. So after the Super Bowl, it's going to be college basketball. We'll sprinkle in some NBA, but then we'll narrow down into college as far as for March Madness, and then we'll get into NBA in April. In April. CMC says Pro Bowl should be in March to keep the hype for next season and Super Bowl players can participate. You know, there's always different variations and different thoughts that we can come up with when it comes to the Pro Bowl. My big thing that I think I want to see back out of anything is contact. Like, I'm not saying that people need to go out there and hurt each other because that's not what I want. But I do want to see, people get tackled. I do want to see some hits out there. I want to see the defense actually playing the line. I was watching earlier and I was like, these guys are like 7 feet, like 7, 8 feet away from the line. And it's like, all right, you see a couple picks and things like that. They're lateral on the ball. It just looks and it feels different. And that'd be my biggest thing. I like the skills game. I don't skill games. I don't have any gripes with that. Like that's fun. I love to watch, what they were doing as far as the different skill games. But the actual Pro Bowl game itself between AFC and NFC, I would love to see contact come back, even if it's just at a lighter level. Like I said, I don't want to see anybody injured. We don't need to see anybody get their head knocked off, right? But it would just be nice to actually see them play real football for the Pro Bowl. And yeah, March would probably work better because I feel like um between the AFC NFC championships, it's always like this long, daunting 2 weeks between the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl, and everyone's just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, like, all right, well, what the hell are we gonna do? And even me, because it's like, all right, like you can do prediction videos, and you could talk about the 49ers and you could talk about the Chiefs, and but me, it's like, all right, well, I'm getting to the point where now it's like, all right, college basketball, NBA mode, and then we got the Super Bowl. And it would be better if I could be like, all right, yeah, I know that I'm getting into the Pro Bowl, so now I should be talking about that for this week. And then right after the Pro Bowl, we then get into the Super Bowl. But it's like that, but it's not. And from like a content perspective for me, it's like, all right, the people aren't really looking for the football content until the day of the Pro Bowl for the Pro Bowl. And then for the Super Bowl, it's like they're not really looking forward to that content until Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So between Monday through Wednesday, what are we looking at, right? Or what are we talking about? So it's going to be, like I said, college, NBA, and then we'll start focusing more on as far as the Super Bowl Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then get into Super Bowl Sunday. So shout out to you, CMC. Five Times says it's more the future of football? Question mark. You know, I would say this. It would make sense if they were going to bring in like older veterans, right? If you're going to keep it flag football, fine. But let's spice it up a little bit. Let's bring in some of these older guys who haven't played in a long time. Let's bring in a Dan Marino. Let's bring in a Joe Montana. Let them sling it around to these younger guys out there. Make it fun and interesting, right? Because if it's just the young talent and the young, the young generation, then they might as well put on the pads and go out there and actually play. But if you're gonna do flag football, bring out some of the old guys. Bring out Ray Lewis, right? Bring out Jerry Rice just to hang out, play around because that's what really would bring out the views. That's what really would bring out like, oh my goodness, you've got this guy back out on the field. He feels he's up to the task to go out there, and some of these old guys you see they kick the young butts of some of the younger guys. That would be amazing to me. But to just keep it all right, flag football, and you got your regular stars of the league of right now. It's like, all right, well, we might as well just wait until next season. That's what at least what I think. At least what I think. Um, so you guys have the Super Bowl. Shout out to you, Jesse. How you doing? I like that angle a lot. Yeah, if they could bring in the older veterans, then I would agree with keeping it flag football because you don't want to see Shannon Sharp or Chad Johnson go out there and get hit. Well, some of you probably would, right? But somebody like Barry Sanders going out there just to jog around, go out there for a couple plays, having fun, reflect. That would be great. And that would be wonderful for the Pro Bowl if it could happen that way. But if for it to just be the young guys, all right, let them throw on the pads and let's see some real contact football, you know. But that I think that's one way that could spice it up. And I'm sure that'll bring, like I said, a lot more of the views back. Because there's tons of people like, "I don't care about the, flag football." I mean, the skills tests are the skill tests, that's cool, you know? But, and then, like I said, another big thing for me was, yeah, Dion on the field, that'd be crazy, right? Having Dion out there, have see him on both sides of the field, that'd be great. But then, like I said, another thing for me too was, Eli and Peyton Manning as far as the coaches again. I have nothing against them. I like both Eli and Peyton. But the second year of the Pro Bowl and they're still coaching the AFC and NFC teams, it's like, all right, can we get somebody else in? Right? Bill Belichick's not doing nothing. Let's bring him in. Right? Let's bring in Tony Dungy. Let's get those two at each other. It would just be cool to like see something like that, like switch it up, make this thing really interesting opposed to just the cookie cutter process that they've made the Pro Bowl. And that's not to make a big gripe out of it, but I give it, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably say it was a solid 7. I was gonna say 7.5 just because the skill test is or the skill games is what made it really good. But it was a solid 7 because I felt like if I was my problem is I said, all right, what did we do last year for as far as for streaming? It was fun to be on, but it really didn't make sense. And I said I didn't want to do that again this year because the majority of people who watched last year, we were just chatting. We weren't even talking about the Pro Bowl, you know? And that was kind of the determinant for me this year because I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to stream the Pro Bowl because, it's just not what I think people would want it to be. So, yeah, I think if they made those adjustments, it could become more exciting and then, could be something to really, really get back to streaming. And if they could go back to the actual game format, opposed to, all right, we're going to do the first half and then we're going to break into this huge halftime, really huge halftime and do all these skill games. And then we're going to jump back into the other half. Like, let's do the whole thing like a normal game, do the skill games before it, do the skill games after it, but keep the sanctity of that specific match as an actual game. I think that's what they need to go back to. Half field too, yeah, that's another thing, right? There's so much stuff going on in my head. It's a half field, so it's like, all right, the rules are so different. Just like early, Ray Lewis is freaking out because one of the linemen's had ran up to the line and then he gets called for offsides and he wasn't even offside. And I guess it's a rule that, you can't run up to the line or you get to only blitz one time. It's weird. It's weird. Just play with regular rules. Don't make it so convoluted and just get back to the old game. You know, I'm just saying. Just imagine this. Imagine if they did the same thing for the NBA All-Star game, right? They took the All-Star game and made it half court. Could you imagine that happens? NBA would lose record viewership if they decided to take the All-Star game and the dunk contest and just completely water it down and a three-point shootout, all that. Like, all right, we're gonna make the All-Star game half court now, and we're only going to 21. No, people want to see these guys put up 200 points, 250 points, East versus West. Who's gonna take it? And that's why the All-Star game gets probably much more love than what the Pro Bowl is right now, for sure, without a doubt. Blake says, Jay, how do you feel about the Super Bowl teams, and who do you think should have made it? That's a good question. I actually appreciate both teams, right? You have to appreciate the Chiefs because of what they've done. And of course, the 49ers coming back and having a stronger year than what they had last year. I definitely think that both teams deserve to be there. They put in the work, they've made it there, they've won fair and square. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a great matchup. Who I think should have been there, to be honest, and I'm not even going to be biased with this, I think the trajectory that the Ravens were on should have put them in the Super Bowl as far as the AFC contenders. And then for the NFC, I mean, it goes back to the trajectory of who should be there. That'd probably be the 49ers. So technically, it should have been that Ravens 49ers design that we have been talking about since what, week 6, week 7? That's just the reality of it. Ravens were playing dominant football for the better part of the whole season. Things fell apart against the Chiefs in the playoffs. That's just the reality of it. I do think that, whatever happened to Lamar, whatever happened to this team, whether they just weren't ready, whether they were out coached, mistakes and issues as far as the game plan, specifically not understanding that this championship team that you're going against, you need to figure out, and you can't leave people like Travis Kelce wide open. I'm not sure. But if there's anybody that should have been there, I do think it should have been the Ravens, but they just weren't able to figure it out. Bradley says, score, please. I got you, bro. The score was NFC 64, AFC 59. That was the score of the Pro Bowl games. Jesse says, I feel the same. Lamar was deadly out the pocket. If you go back and you look at not just the blowouts, right? Don't go look at the blowouts, because we do. Some people like to forget about stuff. They forget the fact that the Ravens absolutely destroyed the 49ers in the regular season. And it wasn't just like a win, right? It wasn't like, they just won by a field goal, or, they just won by a touchdown. The Ravens balled the hell out and completely destroyed the 49ers and made Brock Purdy look like an average quarterback. So, like I said, if there's anyone who deserved to be there, if they would have kept that consistency going, it would have been the Ravens, because there was no team that should have beat them. And that's just the reality of it. But when you have to call a spade, the reality is the Chiefs were the team to go out there and beat them, and Lamar just didn't show up. That's the reality of it. I was talking about this a couple days back when we said that when you put the game in the hands of Zay Flowers, you lost. And I'm not saying that Zay Flowers isn't the guy that you should be able to go to, but the reality is you shouldn't be putting the hands of the game in Zay Flowers' hand. He should be there for some plays. He should get his time with the ball. But you should be using everybody else too. You should be getting Hill involved. You should be getting Likely involved. You should be getting Beckham Jr. involved. Mark Andrews, the guy who was supposed to come back and change everything, literally did nothing. So, there's a lot to unpack there. Obviously, it's history now. That's just the reality of it. Just the reality of it. Shout out to Cameron, says, Jay, if both teams put their full effort into the Pro Bowl game, who do you think will get the W? Are we talking flag or are we talking regular contact? because I think that's the difference. I think when they take the helmet off, when they take the pads off, and they put on the flags, they don't take it as serious, right? It's just fun then. But when you put on that helmet and when you put on all that gear and you go out there and you got yourself a proper coach and someone that is actually fighting to get a win because it means something to them, that changes it from just, oh, it's just a fun thing, to let's play a competitive sport and the best man wins, and then after that we can shake hands and laugh and go hit the beach and get some drinks and all that kind of stuff you know so I think that's what the difference is. But if from what I've seen today, AFC started off strong as far as with the game itself, but the skill games is what really showed up for the NFC. So who's going to take it, right? That's the real question. You don't really know because of the way that it's scored. Says yes, Jay, they did beat the 49ers. Did the Ravens lose the Steelers twice this year? Maybe they didn't belong in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, yeah, that's another good take. But once again, when you talk about the Steelers, you're talking about the Browns, right? You're talking about the Bengals. You're talking about divisional rivals. With that theory, you would then say, well, Denver beat the Chiefs. Does that mean that the Chiefs don't deserve to go to the Super Bowl? You can't say one without the other, because to be honest, Denver beating the Chiefs is more of a significant blow than the Steelers is, because the Chiefs were the Super Bowl champions. Says I've used Flacco as a representative of experience all year. You'd get the same game in the Super Bowl as any other day. I agree. 3 drop passes, 2 fumbles, and turnover on downs in 1 quarter. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. AFC versus NFC Pro Bowl. My vote discredited them both. Shout out to you, Father Time. Yeah, like I said, like I get what it is, and I get what it's for. I don't have too much of, like I said, I don't hate it, right? I give it a 7 out of 10. It would, like I said, it had its moments. It was fun, but the game itself, right? The game itself, they've watered it down to a point where it's like, if I wanted to see grown men go out there and play flag football, I mean, I go call the buddies and let's go to the store and get some flags, or let's go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get some flags. And, I got some footballs around the house, and let's go play some flag football, right? Or if you want to have some flag football, bring out some of the youth stars that have been balling out, maybe even in college. Bring some of those guys out and let's see them play, flag football for the Pro Bowl, and then let's watch the real pros play the real way. I think there's different ways that you can go about it. Regardless, that's just how I feel, and I'm sure there's a few people that feel the same way I do. But it's just interesting, because I would be very interested to see the ratings for the last couple years with the Pro Bowl. Actually sounds kind of fun. Yeah, right. If we could get the college kids, right? Some of the stars, star college kids from SEC, Big Ten, whatever, whatever. Um, you have some of those guys come out. They play flag football. People get a real nice viewing of them before the draft, right? That would be pretty cool, you know. And you get people out there like Caleb Williams, McCarthy. You get those guys to show up, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is nice. This is what we get to look forward to as we head towards the draft. And I definitely think they're overlooking an aspect of that, as far as like having people play the whole route of flag football, because that'd be kind of cool. The college Pro Bowl, that could be something nice. Could be something nice. Shout out to J Zero, says Jay, yes, the Broncos got a win against the Chiefs, but did the Chiefs get a win against the Steelers? I'm not sure. Did they play? I can't remember. Did the Chiefs play against the Steelers? I'm not sure. Shout out to Reverend. What up, man? Says, yo, wanted to check in with you one time. Didn't watch or listen to the game. The flag version isn't it for me. Boo! Shout out to you, Reverend. Um, J Zero says regular season the Chiefs won again. Broncos. Yeah, no. So someone had brought up the fact that the Steelers had beat the Ravens, right? And said that that was maybe the reason why the Ravens couldn't be or shouldn't be in the Super Bowl. And I said, well, with that theory, because Denver beat the Chiefs or the Broncos beat the Chiefs, then that would mean that the Chiefs didn't deserve to go either because it's the same thing. But it's a little bit worse that Denver beat the Chiefs. Um, so yeah, that's what we're talking about, Reverend, as far as, just people's thoughts and just, discussions about, the flag football. And like I said, the skill games were cool, but to me, the flag or the flag football of the actual game is my deterrent from believing in the Pro Bowl. Shout out to you, Angela. What's going on with you? Says it was a lame duck weekend for the NFL. You know your ideas will land. They don't want this again. It'll be all over the nightly comedy. Well, if you guys hear about it next year, you heard it here first, right? They start bringing out veterans for the flag football. You see these guys on the field with the young guys, or you start seeing college kids show up on the field and they're playing flag football with the pros. You heard it here first. Heard it here first. Shout out to you, Angela. Devin says half the Chiefs had the flu that game, including Mahomes. So does that matter? That's a real question. Like if a team is sick or if certain players are sick and they lose a professional NFL game anytime during the season, playoffs, hell, the Super Bowl. Does it matter that they were sick? That's a real question. I really want to know because I really want to see if we're going to make excuses for people being sick, then we have to start using excuses for everybody in regards to losing then, right? Because then it goes to, all right, well, if these guys lost that game because they were sick, well, then this team lost when it mattered the most because they were injured or their defense was dwindled down to third stringers or whatever, right? That's why I always say you can't really, personally to me, I don't think you can go by that excuse, and I don't think we should use it because the roster is set up of people that they believe in that can step up for their starters. And if they can't or if they don't, then that just means they either weren't ready or they lost fair and square. That's just the reality of it. Jay, I'd rather watch my Dick Clark videos instead of the Super Bowl. Shout out to you, Lisa. Well, it's hard for people to watch the Super Bowl sometimes when their team's not in it, but it's still gonna bring us together on a Sunday. Still gonna bring us together on a Sunday. Tyson says, other than the Bills, who are you rooting for next season? That's a good question. D Tenzo, what up, yo? That's actually a good question. I would say besides the Bills, like, are you saying like who I think is just gonna like go out there and like win, or who would I like to see win? Because when you say like rooting for, the only team that I like would root for is the Bills. Now, if you ask me a question as far as who I think could be successful next year, well, there's a bunch of teams that we could refer back to. A lot of people were talking about the Ravens being dead. I'm like, no, the Ravens aren't dead. They could come back next year and ball out and be great. Uh, same goes for the Colts. Anthony Richardson can come out there and really, really surprise and shock everybody. I think he was having a great, great season until he got injured. And then Gardner Minshew had to come in and they made it to the playoffs. Now, granted, things were a little shaky and all that kind of stuff, but the reality is they got there. That's just the reality of it. So I didn't see anyone complain about the different stream when Jay came to us for health. Came to us for health. What you mean, Father Time? What you talking about? you talking about? 16 in a row against the Broncos. They can have that one. They earn it. Devin 573. Um, yeah, sure. You know, but I think one big thing that people don't really like to address is, or not even really dig deep into, is divisional rivals, right? Oh, you lost to the Broncos, or you lost to the Raiders, or you lost to the Chargers, or on the flip side, oh, you lost to the Patriots, or you lost to the Jets. People don't realize how important, divisional rival games are. And you could have a completely trash opposing team. And let me rephrase that. You can have a completely um team that's playing bad, that's playing trash, and they go out there and smoke the top competitors in their division because of the coaching, because they understand their cadence, because they know how they play. And that, I think that goes overlooked sometimes, and I think that went overlooked as far as with the Broncos. So everyone has somebody's number, right? And just when you think, oh yeah, this team is going to beat this team because of this person or that person, or their defense is shot or whatever, and at the end of the day, when the game's over and they're up, you know, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, or even if they just win by a point, you're sitting there like, damn, I didn't expect that to happen. And that's just how rival games go. Rival games go. He's talking about when you was sick, we still got a quality stream. Oh man, listen, there's far and few situations that will take me off of work or take me off of being able to stream. Um, Health is definitely one of those things. Family is definitely one of those things. But I had a few flu games this season. In fact, I dropped this on the video the other night. I got super sick. I think I had food poisoning. I had a chicken sandwich. Was it last Tuesday? Yeah, it was last Tuesday. I had a chicken sandwich, I was eating it. I was like, all right, this doesn't sound or this doesn't taste right. I've had these chicken sandwiches before. I'm not gonna mention the restaurant just because I'm not gonna do it, but I've had their chicken sandwiches before. Always fine, no problems, no issues. I ordered it, it's a late night, not really too late, but it's like 9:30. I'm trying to just get something to eat real quick, relax for the night. And I'm like, man, this doesn't taste fresh. Like it didn't taste fresh. I think it may have been like sitting out for a while. And unfortunately, I think it may have collected some bacteria. So 24 hours roll by, and I'm sitting there, my stomach's like killing me, and I'm like, oh man, like my stomach's killing me. And like I'm giving you guys the PG version, but I feel like, I just gotta use the bathroom. So I'm like, all right, I'll be all right. It'll subside, I'll be good. So then like it's like 24 hours now. You know, knowing when your stomach hurts, you go a few hours. After that, you good. This is like 24 hours. So now I'm like, all right, this ain't good. So then 24 hours passes, and then it turns into, from just like a slight uncomfortable feeling to like pain. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I need to go to the doctor, right? And I was like, all right, I know how my body is. I'll be good. One more day. And then the nausea set in. Oh my goodness. Nausea set in. My woman's freaking out. She's like, "Are you good? You need me to get you stuff?" She goes and gets me the ginger ale and all that kind of stuff, and she gets me stuff. And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna just chill on the couch, do what you need to do. I'm good." So then like I got the whole like sweats going now. Yeah, it got bad. So finally, I fell asleep. I wake up at 4 in the morning, sweating, hot. You know what happens next. And then, life goes on. But yeah, I had to get up, go back to work, and do my work and then get in front of this camera. So like I said, there's very, very, far and in between things that'll, keep me from doing what I need to do. But yeah, it's been really weird. This year has been weird. I've been sick multiple times. I've been on my vitamins. The kids have been sick. They've been on their vitamins. It's really it's weird. There's some stuff going around that uh the old remedies do still work, but if I think I'm just gonna leave it like this. I think things have gotten worse as far as with certain I'm not gonna use the words, but you know where I'm going with it. Certain things have gotten worse, whether it's the basic cough or the common cold, which I don't think is no more, any more common. And then the other stuff, I think it's got a little worse. It's gotten a little worse, and things are getting a little bit more intense as far as how they affect people. And so, you know, I'm gonna make some changes as far as my diet goes. I'm not gonna eat out as much anymore either. Right? I'm start focusing more on my fresh fruits, my fresh vegetables. If I'm gonna have a chicken sandwich, guess what? It's gonna be organic chicken, and I'm cooking it up myself. But yeah, yeah, that's the reality of it. It's the reality of it. Uh, Here we go. We got a question here from Ethan. Says, "What is your favorite part about doing this?" That's a good question. We'll do some story time. We'll do some story time or some Q&A. My favorite part about doing this, I think it's the ability to connect with with you guys and share the love of sports, share the love of you know life, and just be able to spread a positive and good vibe. You know, that's what I've been all about since I started this. We obviously are in the sports realm where there's a lot of garbage and shit talking. That's just the reality of it. But I always try to keep things positive. I always like to give a good message. If people ask me for advice or if someone needs something, I try to be here for them. And you know, the narrative has never changed. I started this channel wanting to bring people together for sports and with sports, and that's what's happened, and it's been that way. So that I think that's one of the big things that or the reasons why that'd be like the favorite part of me doing this is bringing people together. Tyson says, I predict opening weekend is the Niners and Bills because San Francisco getting that trophy. Okay. Lisa says, no bacon cheeseburger for me. I get healthy. Deathly sick off them. Yeah, I stay away from the cheese now. Lisa, I stay away from the cheese now. You know, I mean, there's certain times I'll do cheese. Like you could do cheese on a pizza. Stuff like that doesn't really bother me. But like I wouldn't eat like chicken parmesan anymore. I'm not doing that no more. Or lasagna. Yeah, I'm not doing lasagna no more. A lot of cheese is like you're right. It's like definitely now, and it's kind of crazy because that just happened in like literally like the last like 3 years. So yeah, yeah. Five times says, yep, that's food poisoning. Haven't ordered food in 15 years. Yeah, man. Yeah. Shout out to Revan says you and that old porcelain god had an intimate talk. Oh man, listen. 4 in the morning, I was hugging it out. You know, I was hugging it, y'all. I was like sitting there right next to it, hugging on, just holding on. And it was bad. It was bad, man. But hey, you get through it and you thank the Lord for another day. Cause yeah, it was bad. CMC says Bills, my East Side Peace team had hard to not love their fan base. Yeah, without a doubt. No matter so the majority of Bills Mafia members on the channel is worldwide. You know, I don't know the exact percentage of actual like Western New Yorkers who are Bills Mafia on the channel, but from what I do know is the majority of Bills Mafia on this channel are worldwide. Italy, Japan, Australia, um, Alaska as well. That's US. but just like all over. Like you'll see them pop in, I think we in London, like we always see them pop in. They, people say where they're from, but it's like all over the world. So, and that's another big thing that I like about our community is we have people from everywhere. We have people from all different countries. We have people who are fans of all different teams, and it's been great. It's been great. Lisa says, "Have you thought about going organic?" So I do, but I haven't fully yet. I think that's the problem, right? I've the more I the more older I get, or the older I get, the more I start like, okay, let me remove this. Let me change to this. Let me remove this. Let me do this now. Let me grab this now. And it helps me feel better. It I notice the change when I do it. And I'm just glad that I'm not stuck into a realm of so much repetition that I can't change my ways as I grow older. Like I'm open to different things. It's like, oh, like, hey, do you want to try this kale smoothie? Sure, yeah, I'll try it. Oh, it tastes bitter. All right, can we add some bananas in there? Can we add some peanut butter in there? Peanut butter? Can we add some kiwis in there? Okay, so let's switch it up. Uh, hey, you should probably not eat white rice as much anymore. All right, so now I'm ordering brown rice, right? And it tastes just the same, and it's good for you, or it's better for you. So yeah, yeah, I've definitely started to acknowledge that and switch things around for sure, for sure. Steve, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Bob of the house says, "How do you know it's organic? Were you there when they did everything to make it organic?" So that's good. Um, how you know it's organic is they actually have the stickers on the produce, right? So if I want organic, then I'll skip, Wegmans or Tops or wherever, regular grocery chain, and I'll go to Whole Foods, right? Because we know that Whole Foods has probably the best organic selection opposed to going down to the farm or your farmer's market. So you can tell by the sticker as far as where it came from and how it's actually organic, and it's definitely something to pay attention to. Organic is cool until you check out the total. So the question is, how much is your health worth? Can you put a price on being healthy? Obviously we're all going to end up in a box one day, but I at least want to feel normal, right? I want to get to a point of where I'm of age and I still feel normal. And I don't have some crazy stuff going on because I chose to have this terrible diet in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I think that's the bottom line. You know, and like I said, for the most part, being able to make those adjustments and being able to be willing to understand that, hey, yeah, I need to go out here and make these changes as I feel things changing in my body, opposed to just sitting there and letting things continue on and keep happening until they get to a point of no return or they just get worse than what they are. I think that's the biggest struggle, right? I think that's the biggest downfall for many people as far as them not being able to make those necessary changes because they're so stuck in their ways. Fish hunt fish farm, yeah, man, without a doubt. Reverend says, "I'm not ready to let go of my personal three meat, four cheese lasagna just yet. Also, I really love the relationship building component of this channel. It's a lot more saying than yelling at the TV, without a doubt, man, without a doubt." Uh, so I'll tell you right now, my guilty pleasure is ice caps. That's like my morning thing. I have to have an ice cap, right? If it's 11 o'clock, if it's 12 o'clock, and I haven't had my ice cap yet, I'm starting. Oh, I gotta go to Starbucks, or oh, I gotta get to Tim Hortons. I gotta get that sugar. And there's days where I'm like, no, I don't need it. You know, go get the apple, go get the orange, and then I'm good. So that's like little stuff that like I've been like, all right, I don't need to go get all those grams of sugar because 9 times out of 10 I'm going to crash and feel like crap later anyways. And it's not, it's not clean energy, you know. And it's just the reality of it. It's just the reality of it. It's organic when you talk to the farmers at the farmers market. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. George Tucker, what up, man? What's going on with you? Health is wealth. Yes, it is. I grow more than my own veggies. Of course, of course. Change is hard, Jay. Flag football hurt. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, we as humans, we have issues with change. We have a hard time with change. And it's nothing wrong with you know, having an issue with change. I think it's more so on the point of if you are not willing to understand change and how it can affect things good and bad, I think that's the downfall of humanity, right? We have to understand that there's going to be change, there's going to be evolution, right? Not just from the world itself, but within our own bodies, within our own mind, spiritually, physically, all that kind of stuff. So if you can't accept change for what it is, can you at least accept that there is going to be change and then educate yourself on how this is going to change things from different angles? Because that's where the being educated part comes in, right? If you can educate yourself on something, even if you remotely feel hesitant towards it, or if you're stuck in your way, that may be the barrier that gets broken for you to go out there and make the necessary changes to get you ahead of whatever you're trying to battle, without a doubt. Michael says those changes are also when it comes to finances. People don't know how to balance a checkbook, and their credit score keeps plummeting, and they're not ready to change. Michael, that's another one, man. I see y'all ready to get deep tonight. Yeah, that's another one. A lot of people spend beyond their means. A lot of people don't know how to save. A lot of people don't understand how to manage their credit cards. Keep the credit cards under 30%. Don't understand that you have to make, your payments on time and then freak out when they see a missed payment or not even care. They're not monitoring their credit. There's all kinds of things. They don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that, when you go to get a loan, if, your credit score is under, a certain mark and you're getting subprime percentages and subprime interest rates, the difference of what a credit score could mean, it's thousands of dollars for certain things, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a house or loan, whatever it is. Your credit score could mean thousands of dollars to the bank. And it's not until you actually start paying attention to, finance and your credit and, how much you're making and all that kind of stuff to where you start, oh, well, shit, this is something that has been costing me money for years. Or, hey, this is something that I could save money. A lot of people don't even know that you can go to a credit union and basically finance a car for probably the lowest interest rates that you could get anywhere in your city, you know, depending on how your credit is. But yeah, I mean that's just the small stuff that they leave out of, school. That's we can go down another path. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to say that there's certain things that they leave out of school that they should be teaching these kids, like about finance, about, checking, savings, and stocks and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, they don't do it. So you have to go through your bumps and bruises, you have to go through your ups and downs, and hopefully you have someone in your corner who can help you. But if you don't, you have to go out there and learn it for yourself. And sometimes it takes time for people to do it, right? Some people don't get it right until their late 40s. Some people don't get it right until their 50s. And luckily they get it right when they do. But just imagine if you had the ability to get it right in your early or your late teens, you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 25. and you take the world by its horns, and then you're doing amazing, and then your 30s and 40s are just a breeze, right? That's a whole nother topic. But yeah, shout out to Frederica coming through with the $5 super chat donation. Shout out to you, Frederica. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the $5. Let's go, Frederica in the house. Um, so yeah, as far as the whole finance thing, I mean, I literally could talk for hours in regards to that. We can break things down however you guys want to do it. I love talking money. I love stocks. I love technology. So definitely something. It's funny. I'll bring this up. So my pops actually called me earlier, and he said he was thinking about getting the Apple Vision Pro, and I laughed because I was like, you know what? It's 3,500, and I love technology just like anyone else. It's the new thing, it's VR and it's all this new gadget. You put it over your face and you can do all this cool stuff. And you could have screens here, screens there, and you could move things around and you could watch movies on like a 100-inch screen and just get that total deep immersion. And at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, what are you going to do with this? Are you actually going to use it? Are you actually going to understand what it does to its full potential? Are you going to get your money's worth? And because he was just going to buy it. I'm like, well, before you buy it, actually go down to the Apple store, demo it, make sure that it's something that you're really going to use, and understand the full potential of it, right? Because Apple's marketing is literally the best marketing out of almost any other company. If you don't understand Apple and how they market their products, then that's most likely because you're a consumer. Now, I've been in the marketing business for almost 20 years. So when I look at the first iPhone up to the 15 now, when I look at the first iPad up to the iPad Pro now, when I look at the AirPods, when I look when I look at the regular the I forgot what it was originally called, the Air headset, whatever it was, with the cable that I haven't seen in years now, to the AirPods and the AirPod Pros, you start to understand that Apple has positioned themselves as far as a leader, not because of the hardware specifically, because the hardware already existed. Samsung's already did a lot of the stuff that Apple's doing. The reason why Apple was so dominant is because they've been able to create this ecosystem that is bar none and make it very, very easy. So some people may like the techie stuff with Android and all that other stuff, but then there's people who don't like that. They want the ease of, let me just hit this icon for my phone, or let me just hit this icon for my pictures, or let me just hit this icon for the camera, and it does exactly what I want it to do. Now, on the flip side, I've had them all. I've had the Androids, obviously iPhone. iPhone guy. Like, it just is what it is. So with the Android, right? If you're into customization and downloading different, APKs and stuff like that, as far as over on Android that you normally couldn't do on an Apple device, that's you get to play with the ROMs and custom installations or the OS and different things like that. It's just tons more customizable. The reason why Apple became so dominant is because it's ease of use, right? You take something that's called a smartphone, right? A smartphone, and then you dumb it down, and then you create this identity, right? What do you get when you buy an Apple product? The best presentation every time. And other companies have tried to do it, right? We've seen that. But when you buy an iPhone, when you buy AirPods, when you buy an Apple Watch, when you buy a MacBook, when you buy an iMac, any Apple product, the presentation is clear cut across the board. And there's only a few. companies that I can think of that has that same level of consistency. And that's why Apple has been so consistent. You cannot go back and show me an Apple product that had a terrible presentation. You can't do it. So that's just one of the, and I go down this tangent because I say people don't really understand like the marketing side of things. That's what draws you in. That's what keeps you coming back. So right now I'm talking to you on a MacBook Pro. If if I were to switch to my Windows desktop, it does the same thing, right? But when I'm on the go, I want something that I know is going to have excellent battery life. I want something that I know is not going to crash on me. I want something that I know is not going to give me issues and work pretty much every time. Now, I mean, I'm going to knock on wood because, nothing has happened and I hope it stays that way. But that's just the reality of it. My Windows laptops, they've crashed, they've had their issues. I'm stuck somewhere. I got to go buy a whole new, Windows laptop. And the difference when we talk about price and premium and things like that, sure, you can go get yourself a $400 laptop, right? And it may work for you, but how long is it going to last? Is it going to hold its resale value, right? Or is that $400 laptop going to die off in 2, 3 years and then you have to go buy another one? And then you got to go buy another one because the battery's trash or whatever. With the MacBook, I had this thing for 3 years. No issues. Take it off the charger. I could walk around all day. If I'm just keeping things light, hop on the browser, last for 7, 8 hours. No problems. Webcam quality, great. No issues. So I say that because the ability for Apple to market is the best. To have my pops give me a call and say, "Hey, I'm about to buy the Apple Vision Pro. I haven't even seen it in my hands. I haven't touched it. I don't even really know what it does. I just know it looks cool and I know it's a VR headset." That's why they're $1 trillion company. And that's why you guys got to learn how to invest and stuff like that because it pays down the road. That's my little gem for the night. It's my little gem for the night. Uh, says this is surely a generation of convenience. Now where products are convenient. I'm a Samsung guy myself. Yeah, without a doubt. Michael says that I will disagree. Their sales presentation is top of the line, but their product presentation is lacking compared to their companies. So when you say product presentation, are you talking like the keynotes, or are you talking like I got a brand new Apple product on my desk and I open it up? Let me know which one you're talking about. CMC's the Samsung gang. Yeah, listen, I respect the Samsung gang, without a doubt. I had the notes, I think I had the note 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I had a few notes. Um, over the years, I just, I can even go back to the HTC days. I had the HTC one, I had the HTC, the Beats one, I had that, I had the Evo, I had the original, the first Android, with the mouse trackball. I'm going way back now. I had wow. I remember having the Sidekick. I had the Sidekick. I had multiple of those. Um, I had the Palm when that came out. I had multiple Blackberries. The Bold was always my favorite Blackberry. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. My phone has a shattered screen. I don't worry about it because I don't like to talk much. Like to talk. Shout out to you by the time. Lisa says if you have a phone or a tablet, if it breaks, you get the depreciation value for it. That's another one too, right? I think that's another one that people seem to forget. You can take a broken first generation iPad. Now, depending on how broken it is, right? But this we're talking about a first generation iPad that's what 8, 9 years old, and you'll still get a decent amount of money for it. It's crazy the amount of resale value that Apple products get. And that's something to pay attention to because I know for a fact that when I had my Samsung phones, if I was done with them and I wanted to go trade them in, or if I wanted to sell them to get something else, I would lose almost half of the value of that device, if not 40%, somewhere right around there. But with the Apple devices, I've always gotten close to like 70, 75%. And especially if you keep the box, if you keep your phone or whatever in good condition, you can command a very good resale value for it and a good premium for sure. For sure. Uh Shout out to Robert says, Jay, I got a gym too, but wisely, my friend, because a fool and his money are soon parted. That's a fact, without a doubt. You got to know what you want and what you need it for, not only now, but even in the future's use. That's true. That's true. That's another one. Because, if you don't know what you're buying and the value of it down the road, you're not going to know whether or not it's an investment or a liability or a money pit. And that can go multiple different ways, whether you're talking about a car, whether you're talking about a house, whether you're talking about, you know, technology, anything. Um, Doing the research and understanding, what you're buying and things like that is huge because a lot of people don't do it, especially when it's something that's just shiny and new. Shout out Fredrigas is coming off work, two double shifts, getting old for real. So wishing you Jay and the Rich Gang a great night. Shout out to you, Frederica. Hope you had a great evening. Two doubles, killing it out there. You putting the work in, Frederica. Shout out to you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. We got the Super Bowl coming up, so make sure you're good and rested for that. We'll be good on Sunday for the Super Bowl. So I'll be looking forward to seeing all of you here. I wasn't able to watch the Pro Bowl, so who won? NFC. NFC, my friend. NFC won. JC Prize, what up, yo? Motorola bag phone. Listen, I remember having a two-way. After the two-way, it was what was it? Well, before that, it was the pager. Then the pager went to the two-way, and then I think after the two-way, we started doing the Nextels. When was that? I can't remember. That was like late '90s, mid '90s. We was doing the Nextels. Then we was doing the chirps. Oh man, I'm going way back, way back. Listen, I remember my pops, he had the gray phone, the big phone in the car. His phone was like literally like this big and like that wide. And you hold this thing like a brick up to your ear. He had the gray cell phone in the car. That phone bill was insane back in the day. Father Time, you had a car phone, man. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Lisa says, I learned that from Judge Marilyn Million when she did People's Court. Okay. I had a phone about 25 years ago, like a walkie-talkie. It was yeah, those big gray cell phones. My dad had one of those. He had one of those, and his bill was ridiculous. Because back then, it was by the minute. A lot of people forget about that. They forget that we had to used to pay for these phones by the minute. And remember when you used to tell your girl or your friend, yo, hit me back after 9. Call me back after 8 if you got the special plan. It was either 8 or 9, and the 9 was obviously the cheaper option, but you had a little money if you had the calling that started at 8. Call me at 8. Phone bill would come through. You done talked all day. Now your phone bill $300-400, and you upset. You calling Sprint or AT&T, you got to get somebody on the phone because your phone bill $1,000 because you was talking too much during the day. I remember those days. I remember those days. Uh, so my phone bill was 209 a month for two phones. Yeah, it was crazy back then, though. It was definitely crazy back then. So is that after 9? Yeah, man. That after 9 or that but before 9 rate. Oh, those are different times. Those are definitely different times. Different times. Consider the minutes on your phone. Yeah. Yeah, that's going way back. 30 years. Yeah. Long time. Anyone old enough to call a phone number to get movie times? Oh yeah. And then you had to wait. If you missed the time of the movie, you had to wait. It was just like the TV guide. You had to wait literally, I'm not even exaggerating, a whole 5 to 10 minutes for whatever you was looking for to scroll through on that TV guide before you figured out what time your movie or your show started. That was terrible. See, a lot of people get scared and nervous about technology and, evolution and things like that, but we needed it. We needed it for certain things. Could you imagine still sitting there waiting for the TV guide to go across your screen so you could see what time your favorite show starts? Could you imagine? Could you imagine I couldn't put up the scoreboard for you guys and we had to wait. We had to wait to see the scores. I'd be like, all right, y'all, the scores are coming around the board again. We'll see. We won't see him for another 10 minutes. Listen, I think times have changed for the better for the most part. For the most part. There is some other stuff that you know, did change for the worse, but we'll save that for another day. But yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Uh Says my truck has a built-in phone. Nice. Nice, man. Friends in high school would sell chargers for like $100 when we used to pay phones. What? That's crazy. It's interesting, man. So, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Nice little talk with you guys tonight. Always a great talk. It's always good to start off with the sports and then start talking about life and go down memory lane and share good stories. Tomorrow we'll probably try to get back into there's some college or some NBA. I'll put up a poll for you guys. We'll figure it out, and then we'll go from there. But in the meantime, everybody have a good night. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. Everyone be safe out there, and I will see you all soon on the next one. It's your boy Jay. Peace out.